Okay, we want to be respectful of everybody's time, so we're going to go ahead and get started. And we're going to move on with our second candidate forum for the evening. We are moving on to the forum for Weslaco ISD School Board, places 6 and 7. I would like to thank all of the candidates for taking time to be with us today and share your platform with us. This evening, we are here on behalf of the Weslaco Chamber and our board members. We are very grateful to all of our small business community, our members, and those who help support the Chamber. We are a nonprofit entity here in the community. We are a private organization, and our goal is to support the business community through professional development activities and community support at large. We host events in the community as well. A candidate forum is one of the activities that we host, and the purpose behind that is to be able to support our members and the community at large, learn about the candidates that are running for office in our community. And the goal behind that is to help voters become more informed. I do want to mention that today we do have an organization, it's Battleground Texas, and they are actually registering voters on site today. So if you have not registered to vote, you can do that today before you leave. I do want to read the mission of the Weslaco Chamber of Commerce because, once again, this is the reason that we're here, because our business community has supported us and given us the opportunity to host this event. Together with our partners, we provide leadership to advance a prosperous economy that enhances quality of life in our community. Just a few reminders for this evening's event. We will not allow any endorsements in today's event, as our goal is to provide an avenue for candidates to share their platform and speak to our members and the community at large. For the audience, I want to say thank you for being here today, and I want to ask that you silence your phones in efforts to respect our candidates today. I also want to remind you that today's session is not a debate, but rather a forum and a presentation style event. The candidates will be asked a question and will be given an opportunity to respond. Throughout this evening session, they will have 2 minutes to begin with an opening statement. They will have 1 minute to answer each question, and then 2 minutes for a closing statement today. There will be no audience participation, as mentioned. This is not a rally. We did not mention this in the previous session, but I do want to ask that there is no cheering, no booing, no commentary from the audience during this event. We also want to thank, again, our members and thank the candidates for being here. And I do want to thank the KWES team for helping us put this event together and streaming it online for the online community and those who aren't able to be here today. So to get it started, we do have a moderator for this evening's event. We have Ms. Vanessa J. Mora, Assistant Professor of Criminal Justice at South Texas College, who will be leading us in today's forum. So Ms. Mora, I will go ahead and pass it over to you.
Thank you, Ms. Garza. I'd like to say thank you to Ms. Garza and Mr. Montes for inviting me to be your moderator here today. My name is Vanessa Mora. I am with South Texas College. I am with the Criminal Justice Program, and I am an assistant professor. I teach regular college traditional students. I also teach academy students that come to me from the various high schools to the campus, and I do also go out into the districts, and I teach out at the various districts. But enough about me. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and give the candidates an opportunity to go ahead and begin with their opening statements. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and ask Mr. Cuéllar. I want to remind you, you have 2 minutes, and if you could just begin with your opening statement.
Thank you. First of all, I'll like to thank the Chamber for the opportunity to be here today, along with all the candidates that are seeking a place on the school board, and to give the community a chance to put a name to a face for those who don't know who we are. My name is Armando Cuéllar, Jr. I'm running as Coach Cuéllar because that's what I've done for the majority of my adult life. I use coach to identify me because my father is Armando Cuéllar, and my firstborn is Armando Cuéllar. So if you want to know which Armando's running, it's Coach Cuéllar. It's something I did for, as it turns out, for 42 years. I taught biology and I taught physical science, and started the anatomy and physiology program when I was at Weslaco. I am married to Nelda, my wife, of 32 years. I have 5 children: Armando, Chris, Mark, Angela Nicole, and J.D. Cuéllar. I have two wonderful granddaughters that are here today, Leanna and Addie, my son-in-law, Caleb. Appreciate y'all being here. I have my concuño, Hector, and my campaign manager, Melissa Montalvo. Thank you for being here. Other than, serving, it's something that's very rewarding because what we do as public servants is give back to the community that gives a lot to us, and Weslaco would not be what it is today. We didn't have people who took the time to do what's up and what's best for the community, and I appreciate being here.
Thank you, Mr. Cuéllar. Mr. De La Cruz.
Good evening. My name is Victor Hugo de la Cruz, and first of all, I'd like to thank the Chamber. I think it's incredible what you all do. This is an opportunity that our community gets to meet us and see what we're about. First of all, I'd like to start off by saying that I have the utmost respect for Coach Cuéllar. I had the opportunity of working with Coach Cuéllar. I don't know if he remembers or not, but he worked at Cauchelsa ISD under, I believe that one of the best products from Weslaco that I had the honor to work with, and that was Dr. Rivera. I was a board member at Cauchelsa, and I learned a lot from that man. And I believe Coach came in and worked for our science. We were looking for a science teacher, and he came in and he honored us with his presence. So thank you, and again, thank you for your service. I mentioned Ed Cauchelsa, and a lot of people have been, asking, why is this guy coming over here? I've lived here for over 12 years. My parents have lived here over 25 years. My daughters, who I have as my advisors, Valeria and Victoria, they're the ones that advise me as to what's going on in school, what are the things that they need. My wife, Araceli, has always backed me up and always been my support. I may not have a lot of family, but I will tell you this, I don't have any compadres here in Weslaco. But what I do have is over 2,500 people that I've entrusted with my pride and joy, my girls. And I know that I'm here to back them up. That's why I'm here. So thank you, and my name again, Victor Hugo de la Cruz, and I want to earn your support this coming November.
Thank you, Mr. De La Cruz. Mr. Nieto.
Good evening. I'm Mr. Isidoro Nieto, proud product of Weslaco Independent School District. I was fortunate to go to school here, graduated in 1973, and I was fortunate also to come back to Weslaco and be a college tutor, be a bus driver, be an assistant principal, and then proud to have been principal at Mary Hogue Middle School and Weslaco High School. My wife, who also worked for Weslaco, product of Weslaco, my boys are product of Weslaco, and all my 11 brothers and sisters graduated from Weslaco High School. I believe that with that experience, I've done the best that I can as a board member, and that I did as a principal and assistant principal with students. And so in order to continue this quality education for students, we as board members need to collaborate with the superintendent to make sure that we provide the quality education to our students, provide the resources that they need, and we'll move forward. So thank you again for having us here, the Chamber of Commerce, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nieto. Mr. Abrigo.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm Pedee Abrigo. I was born and raised here in Weslaco, Texas. My parents both worked for the school district at a total of 85 years. My dad was the ag teacher for 42 years, and my mom worked in the payroll department for 43 years. So, and I'm extremely proud that the ag farm, Weslaco ISD's ag farm, is named after my dad. I also taught here for 11 years, Mr. Nieto was the principal. I have the utmost respect for Mr. Nieto and his leadership when we were both at Weslaco High School. After I graduated from Weslaco High, I went to Texas A&M and got a degree in animal science. I did not go into teaching right after that like my dad wanted me to, but I went into the public sector and was working for Hygeia Dairy Company as their farm manager, and then later their purchasing manager. So after they got bought out by Oak Farms, they shut the farming stuff down, and they had their own people to do purchasing and whatnot. I decided to go back to school to Texas A&M Kingsville to get my teaching certificate to teach ag. That decision was the best decision I've ever did. And then I ended up getting my master's from A&M Kingsville in ag science and educational administration. But my thing is, you know, we as board members need to be transparent, be accountable, and trustworthy. And if we do that, you know, you'll have the staff members that are happy.
Thank you, Mr. Abrigo. Mr. Castañeda?
Hello. Good evening, guys. My name is Alfredo Duff Castañeda. I'm from Weslaco, was born and raised in Weslaco. I come from a single mother. I have a very small family. I have my sister, Monica Marie Loera, who graduated from East. I have my brother, Ozzy Loera, who graduated from East as well. I graduated in 1997 from Weslaco High School. And to me, the reason, I decided to run is the main one is that it has to do with the teachers and the staff and the students, you know. After 20 years of working at every level in the district, I understand everybody, you know. And that's something unique that a board member needs to understand. And the way I look at it is that at the beginning as a bus driver, I struggled. There was a lot of same issues that are there that continue to grow, right? Because, and why I don't mention bus drivers, because students and parents get to meet bus drivers every day in the mornings, right? And they are the ones who actually curtail the students into the school. And that's how we understand that's the main point, right? I graduated in 1997 from Weslaco High School, and I decided, somebody had told me, why are you going to college, right? So from there on, I started to determine my determinations y ganas, and with the help of my family, my mother, I decided to go to college, and I proved to myself that I was able to accomplish a task. I have always worked hard to what I've always wanted, and nobody has ever given me anything. So, and that's the same attitude I want to bring into the school board. I want to make a connection again with the community. There is a mistrust of the community, from the community towards the school board members. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Castañeda. And thank you all for those opening statements and introducing yourself to the community. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and begin with the questions. I want to remind all the candidates that you have 1 minute, and if you could just keep your eye on the timekeeper there for your responses. The first question, all candidates will say they are here for the kids. What makes your platform different? And I'm going to go ahead and begin here with Mr. Cuéllar.
Well, our primary purpose is to oversee student performance and outcome, but the platform relates to what's important to that development. That is, first and foremost, the safety and welfare of not only our students, but our staff that work with our students. Another is that we're working very, very closely with strategies to close the learning gap that was created by the pandemic. Given the circumstances, we have done very well because of the staff that we have in place. So we want to make sure that we take very good care of them to maintain that academic level. And then finally, going along with taking care of staff is the the best paid staff in the Valley and South Texas. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cuéllar. Next candidate.
Yes, when we talk about doing it for the kids, my platform revolves around success. And if I was to sit here and say it wasn't about the kids, well, it is. Everything's about the kids. But when we talk about an environment and creating an environment that's conducive to learning, that's where you need strong people that are going to come forward and they're going to be part. They're not going to shy away. They're going to show up. One of the areas that we talk about is mental health and accessibility to mental health for all teachers, all support staff, and our kids, most definitely. So that's one of the areas I think that we need to look at. That's part of my platform, and it's probably the most important is mental health. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. De La Cruz. Next candidate.
I had the opportunity of, like I said, mentioned earlier, being a high school principal and middle school principal, many years of experience working with students and many different programs. So as a principal or as a board member, I try to make sure that we provide the necessary resources to all students, not just your top students. That includes your bilingual, your special ed, your GT, and the rest of the students. So as a principal, I had that opportunity. And so I have the experience that I can make decisions in the best interest of students and the best interest of staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Next candidate.
Yes, my platform is I am here for the kids. I have, I've chose to stay in the classroom because I want to be there for the kids. Sometimes you're the only person they have or can trust when they have problems at home. Also, as I mentioned briefly, or my platform is transparency. I mean, we have to be transparent. Whatever decisions are made, you got to be transparent. Then you got to be accountable for that. And then after that, you can build trust with the students and staff.
Thank you. Next candidate.
After working so many years in the classroom at Weslaco East High School, everybody can say we're here for the students, but I've actually seen what we actually see, what has given us the 8 years that, the other candidates have been in office. And in reality, you can see that it's not working. And I am there, I am going to make it a purpose to make sure that students' curriculum is successful for them after high school, and also during high school, so they can become better persons and actually want a career and connect with me and connect with the community and curtail the curriculum so they can be successful after they graduate.
Thank you for your responses. The next question is about school safety regarding gun control and terroristic threats. How would you utilize your term in office to address this growing concern for educators and families? And I'm going to go ahead and begin on that end with Mr. Castañeda.
Can you repeat again the question, ma'am?
Yes. How would you utilize your term in office to address this growing concern for educators and families regarding school safety and gun control and terroristic threats?
Well, once again, the experience with me is that I decided to leave Weslaco East. That's one of them, because I got tired of the same situation that my colleagues went through and the students went through, the fear of something happening like it happened in Uvalde. And to me, I experienced a list of hit list that was posted in the restroom, and one of my colleagues was there on that list. And we were not informed about that list after a week later, and that was allowed by the current board that is existing today. It was under the rug, and they didn't tell us, so therefore it led to a lot of fear in the campus, and that's why I want to make sure that we create a 3-level level of entry into the schools with the police department and creating the police department, like other big districts do too.
Thank you for your response. Next candidate.
I know a lot of people are not going to agree with this one, but I think it all starts at home. You have to, just like with truancy problems in the past, they held the parents accountable, and that's what we need to do. Is these individuals making these threats? You need to hold their parents accountable as well. Also, I agree with Mr. Castañeda about having a police department. Back in the Weslaco ISD Police Department, or have SROs from Weslaco PD there at the campus, and having that presence will deter a lot of the problems we're having today.
Thank you for your response. Next candidate.
I agree actually with both candidates right here in what they were stating. But, in the school district, we have to train our personnel to learn to follow procedures, whether it's a lockdown, whatever it is. But then we also have to train our students and to make good decisions. The mental aspect that Mr. Victor de la Cruz said is very important nowadays, especially because of the last 2 years with COVID, that those students didn't have any person-to-person instruction. So, very important. Rules and guidelines, procedures, and make sure that the teachers and the staff and the parents understand what those procedures are, because they're in the best interest of our students. Thank you.
Thank you for your response. Next candidate.
Enough is enough. This issue is it's time to move forward. Just today I got 10 text messages from my daughter because she was terrified. She wanted for me to go and pick her up because there was some writings on the wall that there was going to be a mass shooting. Okay? We need a police force. We need to find a police force, and we need to make those changes. We have to educate our students. We need to show them consequence. Terroristic threat is a felony, and we need to hold those people accountable, no matter the age. The people that they arrested today was 4. We don't know if they're gonna try them as adults, but a terroristic threat is a felony, and we need to hold people accountable. Enough is enough. We need a police force.
Thank you for your response. Next candidate.
Everyone has had very, very good points, so it's just going to add to what we already talked about, and that is that additional measures to protect our children and staff in our schools are to secure your doors and to have security measures where not anybody can come into that school without being allowed into that campus. But something that I learned just recently, and I got this from my superintendent, is that a lot of the shooters have been actual members of that school because they know everything that's going on. So the more that we train our students on being transparent when they see things, not to hold back, the better our chances are of preventing the tragic measures that have taken place in this, not just this state, but in the country. And again, training, and more training. Thank you.
Thank you for your responses. The next question. How is or should the school district combat the competition from charter schools in the area? Mr. Cuéllar?
Well, some people don't agree with marketing, but I do. I think the more that you promote the good things that are going on with your school district, all the things that we have to offer, more than the charter schools have, to develop a well-rounded individual is second to none. Weslaco ISD prides itself in having the best programs and the best extracurricular opportunities for students, because when you get out into the real world, if you haven't experienced these things, then your chances of being successful in the real world are not very good. So again, keeps promoting the positives and the great benefits that our students are going to gain by being educated by Weslaco ISD. the right choice.
Thank you. Next candidate.
It is a fact that charter schools have threatened the way we do business, most definitely, and they're here to stay. I do believe in marketing. That's what I went to school for. That's what I've done for over 30 years. Conducting a SWOT analysis to identify what the strengths and weaknesses, the threats that we may have. Competition is good. Competition is good. But one thing that I know for a fact that charter schools cannot offer is they do not teach our children social skills. Weslaco ISD is an expert in social skills. That's reality. That's the real world. You can't learn that in a charter school. Thank you.
Thank you. Next candidate.
Of course, we need to promote our students' accomplishments. We have an excellent program in KOS that we can market what every school does and all the accomplishments that students have, whether it's academics, whether it's athletics, whether it's the fine arts, whether it's the folklorico. All those, we have so many different positive programs that if we promote them, we can have those students return from the charter schools. Also, to provide more specialized programs. We're looking into dual language at Silva. We're looking at fine arts at Cuéllar. We're looking at the medical health professional school that we might promote in the next few years. So there's different programs that if we have those, we can bring those students back from the charter schools. And of course, encourage the parents to bring your children back to Weslaco ISD. Thank you.
Thank you. Next candidate.
I was a product of Weslaco ISD, went through the CTE program with Weslaco ISD, and I think Weslaco ISD does have one of the premier CTE programs in the Valley and maybe even in the state. Their amount of programs that they offer, from agriculture to health science to auto body, construction science, is really second to none, and charter schools cannot offer that. So that's how we need to promote these programs and keep these kids there, because they will like the hands-on activities and learning life skills that they can use for the rest of their lives.
Thank you. Next candidate.
Yes, I agree with Mr. Abrigo too. The CTE program is a great facility. You have the FFA, you have the mariachi, the arts, all that it's a great thing. But transparency and accountability is also one of the things, right, that we mention here, all of us. But how can you believe in marketing when we can constantly be coming out in the news for the past 8 years that this current members have been there constantly in a negative way? So what do you think people from the outside of the community are going to say to us, Weslaco? That is not the choice. But I want to make the community understand that this is, if you elect me, I'm going to make sure this district is the only choice.
Thank you for your response. The next question. Given the current global pandemic and the limited access to Wi-Fi and other resources for students, what do you think can be done to help support students and families? I'm going to go ahead and begin over there with Mr. Castañeda.
Can you repeat that question, ma'am?
Yes. Given the current global pandemic and the limited access to Wi-Fi and other resources for students, what do you think can be done to help support students and families?
Since I was teaching through the pandemic, I remembered, I would talk to my students, and a lot of them were scared because of the way they thought their grandparents were going to pass away. They were scared nonsense and all these things that they heard over the news and so on, right? All this pandemic has hurt learning. And I do believe that, and believe it or not, the reason why I left Weslaco was not because of something negative. I left because I told my colleagues I was coming back. And I left to help, and I left to an online school. And to me, it's harder to teach in an online school than in a regular school. But face-to-face is the way to go with that.
Thank you for your response. Next candidate.
Yes, I think the best way to handle this as far as the limited Wi-Fi capabilities, I don't know if it was through the school district or the city of Weslaco or a conjunction of both of them, but I know they established Wi-Fi hotspots around the city in neighborhoods that were labeled as limited access to Wi-Fi. And also, I know I teach in Sherryland, and if the kids did not have access to Wi-Fi, they did purchase hotspots for them, and they issued those hotspots out. I don't know what Weslaco did on that.
Thank you for your response. Next candidate.
I have to agree with both of them because we do have to provide hotspots. And this past 2 years when there was the pandemic, we definitely had to provide hotspots, but we also had to provide the Chromebooks and anything else they needed because they were working from home. And even though it was a new teaching mechanism, and it was first time for everybody, but our staff, our teachers did an excellent job because when they came back and took the STAR test, we thought they were going to be pretty low, but they weren't. So the teachers did an awesome job during that time. And also, Mr. Pedee mentioned that work with the city. Definitely work with the city because we work with the city to provide the fiber optic cables in the different neighborhoods so they could have access to Wi-Fi and just make it easier for our students and our parents. Thank you.
Thank you for your response. Next candidate.
I mean, I agree, to a certain degree. I think, sometimes Wi-Fi is overrated. I think we need to trust in the old method of teaching. Yes, pandemic came in. I think Weslaco did an excellent job in the transition to technology. I have a computer science degree, and you would think that would be, but I cannot depend on technology. Technology has to depend on me, okay? And so we have to trust, and we cannot expose and use excuses, because of technology. We need to find a way, and we always find that way, and we got to trust our teachers. That's what it comes down to, the old method of teaching. Thank you.
Thank you. Next candidate.
I agree with Mr. Cruz on that. I'm a dinosaur when it comes to technology. If I didn't have somebody helping me with that kind of stuff, it would be disastrous. But as far as providing the opportunities, we did invest a lot into having Chromebooks and hotspots so that would be available for students. But I believe we need to take it a step further because if you don't know what to do with those things, they serve no purpose. I believe at one time we were having packets with schoolwork being delivered to some of the homes so that the students could at least relate to something that they were used to, because this pandemic changed the way we do things in education. I don't have the words to describe it, but it was very scary. And because of that, we did lose a lot of learning and created a gap that now we have to work hard to close. But the availability of the hotspots for that is there. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Good job. And one final question. Retaining good teachers is a challenge. As a school board member, what can be done to make certain good teachers don't leave the district? Mr. Cuéllar?
Do the best we can to show appreciation. I have my daughter that's present here, and I hear every day how the frustrations of having to do a lot of extra work to keep up with what's going on. When we went through this pandemic, we weren't prepared for what came, but we found a way. And when we thought we had the answer to one thing, we come up with something else, and then something else. So it was very difficult to keep up with what's going on. So to keep our teachers, we need to keep an open line of communication to understand the frustrations that they go through. And having been a teacher for most of my career, the one thing that I don't need when I'm trying to prepare a group of kids is more work to distract me from what I have to do. So I believe in giving the classroom back to the teacher and to compensate them better than anybody else. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cuéllar, for your response. Mr. De La Cruz?
I was asked this question during a town hall meeting that we had, and I went back to the old cliche of bringing the teacher an apple, because it shows appreciation. And I'm going to have to repeat what Ben Castillo said a while ago. Let the teachers work. Let them work. A simple good job, that's going to make a big difference. After that, a raise. After that, maybe, a bonus. I mean, those things work. And when we implement these things, we're going to see a change in our teachers. Weslaco has the best teachers anywhere, and I believe that because my girls are a product of that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. De La Cruz. Mr. Nieto?
Actually, we have excellent teachers here in Weslaco, but in the past few years, we've provided a competitive salary. We're second in the valley. I believe La Jolla is the highest paid. Then we come in second, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, whatever it might be. But we have to provide resources for the teachers. That's very important. A lot of times, those resources are not provided, and especially now with technology, it's very important. And of course, provide the stipends for those teachers that teach the bilingual, they teach the special ed, they teach the AP courses. That's very important because, but also it comes back to what Coach Cuéllar and Mr. De La Cruz said, be compassionate. You know that the teachers do a lot. And that comes from our experience because I had excellent teachers at Mary Hogue, I had excellent teachers at Weslaco High School, but I also had excellent students. When you have excellent students, the job comes easy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nieto, for your response. Mr. Abrigo?
Yes, just to build off on Mr. Nieto, Mr. De La Cruz, and Coach Cuéllar, you have to show your teachers that you care for them. You have to, yes, the money's great. Like I said, I used to work here in the district, and Mr. Nieto and his staff took care of us very well. Sharyland is not one of the highest paid districts in the valley, but we get tacos delivered to our rooms. There's something every, that goes a long way, especially if, those of y'all who are teachers know that we're just getting, bombarded with new things that we have to do, and that goes a long way. And it does not necessarily have to do with the money aspect, just investing in the human factor.
Thank you, Mr. Abrigo. Mr. Castañeda?
Me being in the classroom and me being at East for 2 years ago, I would see teachers overburdened and break down, and we don't want to leave. Believe me, we don't want to leave. I wanted to teach my nephew and nieces when they were at East with me, but I decided to leave because I wanted to do the right thing. That's one thing, and hold on, sorry about that. Yes, teachers need to be treated with respect, transparency, and accountability. They want to know what's going on. They don't want to be hitting like I was working there. I might be even a victim of not being paid right because our board members decided to vote on the budget and never looked at the teachers' wages and years of experience. So see, that's the mistrust that I keep talking about over and over because, those are the kind of things that happens under under this board.
Thank you, Mr. Castañeda, for your response. Thank you all for your responses. At this time, we're going to go ahead and move on to the closing statements. I want to remind all the candidates that you have 2 minutes for your closing statements, and I'll go ahead and begin here with Mr. Cuéllar.
Thank you. Again, thank you for having us here and giving us the opportunity to answer questions and not only that, but to listen to what other people have to say, because a lot of times you think you have the answers, and then you hear somebody talk about something that maybe makes a little more sense. And I'm a good listener. I'm a good listener. I'm not perfect, but I am a good listener, and I do my very best to base my decisions on what's best for our students and staff, Weslaco ISD, and the community of Weslaco. You know, a year and a month ago, I went through a situation where I had to have open heart surgery, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do anymore. And a lot of people were there to support and encourage me to take care of myself. They said, you need to stop worrying about everybody and take care of yourself. And for a little bit, I thought that I even shared with the Mexicanos that I wasn't going to do this anymore. But after a lot of soul searching and encouragement, my calling is to serve. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, and humbly ask for your support.
Thank you, Mr. Cuéllar. Mr. De La Cruz?
I think that all of us up here hold something very, very dear to us, and that's the will to serve. You know, I admire people like Coach, like Mr. Nieto, that are here. You know, a lot of times, you know, being questioned, but you know, at the end of the day, that's the job. We come in here and we expect. But I will tell you this: I've been there. I've been there. I didn't mention I was in the Army, in the U.S. Army for 5 years. I served in Desert Storm. You know, I know what pressure is. I know what it is, and I know when it's time for me to get involved. I'm a city manager in the city of Edcouch. I've been right there in the front lines during freezes. I've been there during floods. I was there through the pandemic. I came out of the military disabled with breathing issues. I knew that what I was exposing myself to out there during the pandemic, but yet I was there in the front lines. I really feel at this time right now, with all the things that I've noticed, with the experiences that I've been through, with my own daughters, with my own daughter, who after this pandemic comes back and has the type of issues that we're talking about, depression, anxiety. These are real things. They're happening to our children. And you know, if I don't take it to heart, then who is? I have to show up. I have to be there. I have to show up to those meetings, and I have to speak. I have to defend those people that can't defend themselves. I just have to. My dad, a deacon for over 30 years, showed me that. And he still gets up there after a year of chemo. He still shows up to church. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. De La Cruz. Mr. Nieto?
First of all, thank you for everybody that's here today. I think it's very informative that you be here so you can learn about all the candidates. But when you put blame on people, but yet, Coach Cuéllar mentioned, we try as much as possible to make decisions in the best interest of students and staff, the majority of the time. That's what we, serving, that's what we do. But when you put blame on the whole board, that is not correct. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Because I, as a person, will make the best decision that I can make in the best interest of students, staff, and the parents. That's always been my job. When I was a principal, as a father, as a godfather, so he's here today, I always make decisions in that way. And Coach Cuéllar did the same thing. He mentioned it a while ago. And that's something that I will always do in the best interest of people here in Weslaco. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nieto. Mr. Abrigo?
Yes, I'd like I'd like to thank everybody for being here and getting to know us different candidates, and seeing that does bring out that, the community of Weslaco is invested in the education of their students. Weslaco ISD holds a dear place in my heart because of my parents. I was literally raised in the district. I remember going to my dad's classroom and shop all summer long to help him clean or whatever. And Mr. Nieto was right about Weslaco ISD has the best teachers. Mr. Nieto was my freshman football coach 30-something years ago. And, he was part of a little part of who I am today. So going back, that I will be here for the student staff. My parents taught me, once you do something, give it 110%. And I understand I'm a teacher. I'm an ag teacher, very busy with my students, but I will always be there for the kids and staff of Weslaco ISD. And one more person I'd like to thank is my wife, Lupita. This is new to both of us, and usually when I need something done real quick, I will call her at work or text her like, I need this by tomorrow, and she gets it done. So I appreciate that. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abrigo. Mr. Castañeda?
Maybe people think that I'm coming off a little bit strong because due to the fact that I recently left Weslaco, and there's the same reasons that everybody keeps talking about, the lack of accountability, the lack of transparency, the lack of fairness among staff, among the children as well, the students as well. Recently I had a student of mine. Right now I was at the barber shop, and she told me, "Sir, I want to talk to you." ¿Qué pasó, mija? That's the way I always address my students, because I consider them my children as well, right? She said, "Mr. Castañeda, can you believe this? My daughter is 3 years old, as a kindergartner at certain school, right? And he was thrown out." "What do you mean he's been thrown out?" "Yeah, he was exposed." "What do you mean he was exposed?" So he ended up leaving the school. So this is kind of things that occur, is not talked about, And this is the situation that's just the reason why I'm running. If you really care about students, you're going to do the right thing for them all the time, no matter what. No matter what factors are included in your decisions, you're going to do the right choice. Even if you stand by yourself, you do the right choice, and you're going to create that environment of culture, of family, that you need to recreate in Weslaco. There is a lot of things going on that behind the scenes that I want to make sure that's shown in the front anymore. And we are transparent as a board in front of Weslaco. And thank you for coming out and supporting all of us. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Mr. Castañeda. At this time, I'd like to thank all of the candidates for participating in today's forum. I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic back to Mrs. Garza.
Thank you once again, all of the candidates, for being here. And again, thank you, Ms. Mora, for being our moderator for the 2 sessions this evening. We heard from candidates from places 4 and 5 at 6 o'clock, and from 6 and 7 today at 7 p.m. We thank you all for joining us and being a part of this forum and educating yourselves and becoming more informed voters. And what I mentioned to the last group is what I'll mention here, is that the next step is the most important, and that's to show up to the polls and to vote. I'm going to share with you some of the upcoming dates for voting. We are actually a poll site, so you can vote here in this room where you're at today, starting October 24th through November 4th. Voting takes place from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. It will be available as well on Sunday, October 30th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. October 31st through November 4th, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And of course, Election Day is November 8th, Tuesday, and voting will be available from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. On behalf of the Weslaco Chamber of Commerce, our board of directors, and all of our business community, we thank you for joining us. And because of our business community, we're able to do programs like this for the community at large to learn about our candidates. And so we're very grateful that we have members from across Weslaco and the Mid-Valley area who are part of the chamber and help make these types of programs happen. I would like to thank again the candidates for their willingness to sit here today and share and be candid and open about their platforms and open with you today. I would also like to thank WISD K-West team for being here and streaming this online for those who weren't able to be here today. We hope that you're able to share this, the link to this if somebody missed it, to catch this and hear from the candidates. Again, we want everyone to be informed as we get closer to our early voting dates. And again, thank you so much to our audience for being here today and learning from the candidates. Again, on behalf of the Chamber, myself, Barbara Garza, the President and CEO for the Chamber, I appreciate all of you, and thank you to the candidates. Everybody have a great evening, and thank you for joining us.